Not so much bad
No, it's a
guys.
good community up there.
Hey, you and I.
Mr. Eastier.
Here.
Coon.
Here.
Drake.
Here.
Grimm.
Here.
Ray Joyce.
Here.
Lukakas is excused. Reedy.
Here.
Simpson.
Here.
And Ward.
Here.
8 present, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Previous minutes? Anybody will make a motion?
So moved. To approve minutes.
All right, that's done.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
All right.
First one.
Items 2 and 3 are tabled at request of sponsor. Item 4 is providing a limited revocation of the residency requirement for employees of Albany County within the sheriff's office. And the sheriff is here this evening, and I believe Mr. McLaughlin and Mr. Lawley are here as well.
Okay. Sheriff?
Just back following up on last month. I like everything in number 4 except the word limited. I was just looking for it to be revoked entirely for not even just the sheriff's office, but the entire county. I think it's an antiquated law. I understand its purpose when it was placed, but I just think we've kind of outgrown that. Everybody, not just public safety, but everybody is having recruitment and retention issues, and I really need to go outside the county. And I mean, I'm down not much different than last month, 50, 60 COs, 20 deputies, a few a few dispatchers, and EMS is constantly evolving. I was caught up, and I'm back down to 4 or 5 holes. I think I have a couple candidates processing right now. COs, I mean, it's certainly constant recruiting and retaining, but I have to go outside the county to do that.
Any questions for you, Sheriff?
I think we're
How about
covered
the-
now until August of next year.
Mhm.
You can hire whoever you want.
Yeah,
No
right,
restrictions.
right. And again, like I said last month, I mean, I understand that. I just wanted to, get the conversation going again because it's important, and I didn't want to wait to 30 days out and be like, hey, everybody's got to be in the county at this point.
Now, what about the one got in effect now? Are these people have to move to the
I'm-
county eventually?
No, I
Not in your
believe they're
case?
fine to work and live, or to live wherever they want.
Right.
Which I didn't know that until last month because my initial ask didn't include that. But apparently when there was one done globally, it included that. But again, and I think, I don't want to speak for them, but I think the county as a whole is kind of in agreement with me as far as civil service.
Anybody from the county executive office want to say something about this?
Oh, yeah, I can start out. I'll paint a more general picture, and then I'll let Director Lally kind of get into more specifics that are civil service and HR specific. But what's basically happened, and anybody who's familiar with even national demographics can kind of begin to observe this trend, is that there basically just aren't enough young people to fill the jobs. And that was accelerated by COVID, when a large contingent of individuals who were not old by any stretch, but were of an age that they could stop working, did. And so what we're seeing now is the inability, and you're seeing this in college enrollment rates. There's just not as many young people as there were enrolling in college because the physical beings themselves don't exist. And so that is now coming here, and it's not that anybody did anything wrong. I guess you could say that perhaps I should have had a few more kids, but that's not going to happen. So we are where we are. And we're already seeing with the suspension for the last 2 years, which I know we have some more time on it, we're seeing, a significant number of individuals that are signing up for civil service tests, being hired when the tests are actually held. Otherwise, they're being hired provisionally, and a significant number of them are from out of county. I'll turn it over to the director now, and he can kind of go into more. Yep.
So, thank you just for supporting what the other two gentlemen said. We are having difficulty recruiting civil service, and with the pandemic, the state is very far behind. We used to have about a 3-month turnaround for exams. Now we're being told we should expect 6. So you couple that with the process of canvassing each list, and then you couple that with having to go to the legislative body to request approval, and a lot of people are just saying, hey, I already found a job because I took that exam 8 months ago. Since the resolution was put into place, 529 employees have been hired. 22% of them were hired out of county. And even if that was just 1%, it's one vacancy that we're filling because you accommodated us to be able to meet the needs of the county. So like the other two gentlemen said, very supportive of continuing waiving this residency requirement. It helps us tremendously. And, I have some anecdotes from different departments. Michelle McClave said approximately 15% of the hires that she has made have been from out of the county. Nicole Ward in Children, Youth, and Families is also in strong support. Mark Olson has about 30 employees from Shaker Place that were hired since August of last year. So, all the department heads are very appreciative of this opportunity and would like to see that continue forward.
Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. We grandfathered them. They said if you get the job, then you can, you don't have to move in, even if the rule changes. Does that apply to someone who got the county job and then wants to apply for a higher position? Are they still allowed to?
It applies to their service date. So their service date with the county, if it's after
the start.
Resolution 270, then they're grandfathered in. So it wouldn't have a detrimental impact to them seeking promotion and then having to move in.
Yeah, because I do worry about this residence requirement hanging out there as a deterrence to try and hire people. So I would just.
Well, there's a couple arguments that you made. I think you probably could argue because the county had a residency requirement for so long, had it not had the expectation from others that there was a residency requirement, that 20% number might have actually been higher. But most people in their mind say, oh, Albany County's a residency requirement county. So there are certain aspects to this that you could say people have been conditioned to assume. I mean, the waters have been muddy, right? Didn't have a residency requirement, then had one in place. I mean, I know of employees, in my time here that had been hired before the previous, and then we suspended it. All the individuals that are, they don't have it, and then if it's put back in place, the waters are muddied.
Yeah, I think it's important that we have a clear statement that we're willing to go outside the county to get employees. And because the waters do affect the people that apply. So, because we have been known as a residency county, and I don't think that's good in terms of the future. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree with that. I think that, we tried to, 8 months ago, sort of create this exemption to study this, and what we're hearing is that it has been helpful. But if we were to, I think, just say, we don't have this policy at all anymore, I can't help but think that that might help even more, right? That it's no longer, there's no longer any confusion about it. It hasn't been sort of temporarily, suspended. It's just over. It's done. We're not going to do it anymore. I can't help but think that that would lead to better recruitment if we were just to be crystal clear about it, that this isn't our policy anymore. So for that reason, based upon all the information that we're getting, I absolutely support eliminating this policy in its entirety as soon as possible. And to be very public about doing it so that that message gets out there to all the people, all the potential employees in this area, in our community, in the other counties, that we are now that they can come and apply and potentially work for all of them.
In support of this, well, among the obvious benefits of opening it up and trying to find more candidates, I should actually hope it would encourage the hiring of more meritorious candidates, because if you have more people applying, you might get better candidates, not just a candidate. And I guess I just wanted to say publicly that I hope that would help us just in the quality of
You mean
the
for like expanding the
available-
pool, so
Yeah,
you have more
expanding the
people?
pool,
Yeah.
just, you can bring in that person that you really need as opposed to taking whoever you can get. And I hope that would even be.
And that works with the civil service system as well, because you have more individuals that are signed up for the test, that are taking the test, you have more people who are reachable, so they're testing higher, those all things.
That's what I'm thinking,
Yes.
it just would increase quality as well as quantity, I hope, so I'm fully in support of that.
And more applicants mean better leverage for us, because if we're a little more desperate, and that counts, when we talk about union contracts and all of that stuff. The more leverage we have as an employer, the better position we are to negotiate.
Sean?
Thank you. I want to give Sheriff credit for bringing this to light, but I don't think we should do this for just the sheriff. This is something, we have a couple of years of data, and that's all I was asking for. Because this is cyclical. I've been around here almost 30 years now. It's cyclical. There's gonna be times when we're all looking for constituents to get jobs, and somebody from, you know, the lower Hudson Valley is getting it, and you're gonna be mad about it. That happens. This market, not so. You know, we can't get enough applicants for jobs, I know that. And so I have no objection doing this, doing away with this rule that we have. However, we gotta understand it is like cyclical, and I don't think, you know, we can do it just for you to share. We also have a civil service, you know, and I say this all the time, we live in a civil service world, it's not the private sector. People have to take exams. We have a ton of workers right now that are provisional, that are probably gonna have to pass an exam at some point, right, Mike?
Yes, sir.
And that's a dangerous precedent. That's something that is, you know, I used to be a guy who hired people. You know, I never wanted to do that, and I know that I had to let go of people that were good employees that couldn't pass the exam. They get 2 shots, right?
Yes, sir.
We also have the civil service, and if they, you know, I've been out here a couple of years, Mike, but you can also do a resident preferred list if you have a healthy resident list, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Yep, if our
You can
numbers get
always
back
do
up,
that.
definitely.
Okay.
Right now, we go through the list, at pretty much as soon as they come out, we go through them.
Right.
Because departments just need the lives.
And I'm also hearing that, you know, you get 100 people sign up for an exam and 50 show up. That's, you know, it's just bad. We're in a bad employee.
Well, I think the
market.
sheriff has probably the roughest start related
Yeah.
of going into
Absolutely.
recruiting classes, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Your attrition
the
rate's
one
rather
thing, the one thing that helped me, Sean, as far as the provisional, is that the state finally changed their requirements as far as the correction officer exams. They got, you know, they kind of wavered a little bit, they put out a pilot, pulled it, put it back out, but now it's more of a knowledge, training, and experience. So I don't have to put those provisionals in there. I got a little nervous last year because I had about 25, 30 of them in there.
Right.
And then we got them to sign up for the knowledge, training, experience.
Oh,
and then
okay, that's
it made
good.
them, yeah.
That's
So
good.
I don't have the provisionals that maybe some of the other areas have.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, quick, for instance, I just hired a young deputy from Greene County and then a young deputy from Schenectady County with some experience. And those are the guys I need because by the time I hire a new guy and I train that person and they go through FTO and on-the-job training and everything else, I've got a year expended, and then they're jumping to the troopers or wherever, and I lose all that. So it's nice, and listen, I'll thank Dave and Danny and all you folks as legislators for helping us get those contracts in place, because they're good contracts. For the first time in a long time, I can say, you know what, you guys made out very well here. It's, you know, it's not perfect, but you know, it's a really good stepping stone. So now it's attractive. This is the only piece of the puzzle that I was hoping to put in place to really get out and make a full push on it. So I think our salaries are looking good, the contracts look great, they got a lot of extra benefits. The non-union folks just got, you know, a stipend or whatever terminology we're gonna use today. And it's a great place to work. I've been here a long time. I just think this is one missing little piece that, and again, maybe 5 years from now, like you said, Sean, the world has changed a little bit and things are kind of getting back to normal and maybe it can be put back in place. I don't know. 5 years, hopefully, I was sitting here.
So can I clarify with the director? So we just brought up, so it is in fact possible to have to eliminate the residency requirement, but still offer preferred status to county residents. So
I
that's
get
not,
that.
there's no law that says you can't do
Oh,
that.
it's civil
There's
service
actually
law.
a civil service law with the state that says you can do it.
You
So
can do it.
it's
I
expressed.
get that for everything.
So that kind of covers what you're saying.
It kind of does, except for we have a lot of non-competitive, am I using the right term, Mike?
So about 62% of all the positions in the county are competitive, meaning you have to take an exam.
Mhm.
The remaining, I'd say about 35% are labor and non-competitive. So non-competitive meaning you have to have some sort of minimum qualifications or a specific license. And then about 3% are unclassified and exempt, which are appointed positions or elected.
Laborers in one of the titles.
So the 35%, you couldn't impose a county residency preferred list, is that what you're saying?
Correct, because those positions, the state has deemed that it's not feasible to test for them. They're the people that have a CDL or an LPN or a CNA, positions like that.
Right, so there's no hiring priority that can be in place.
Correct.
I mean, because I think you bring up a great point, you know, in tight labor markets, you do have county residents coming looking for employment, right?
Well, you know,
Yeah.
for years,
Yeah.
you know, every department head would tell you that, you know, if you hired somebody out of county, you had 5 people in all of our districts saying, you know, I applied for that job and you hired somebody from Greene County, all right? You know, it's
Just-
been a while.
I would just caution
It's not
that.
like that now.
To the legislator's point, now, CNAs, nursing home vacancy list, very large.
Yeah, no,
So-
we're on board.
No, we-
I think he
we
just brings
get-
up a good point that you might wanna leave the door open to somehow, if you wanted to put it back in the
Well,
budget, right?
we are the legislature.
We can do that,
We
right.
affect policy, so we can put this policy wasn't in place forever.
Right.
It happened, Gil was probably here, Gil was probably the sponsor of it back in the
I told you,
90s.
Wade, it came about by the county executive at the time hiring commissioners from outside the county.
Right,
So we wanted to have in the county, we have qualified people.
yeah.
So with that, we passed that, but never the intention to grow the way it's grown. That was never the intention to affect other employees.
Right.
But through the years, it's got out of control.
Yeah. So we are the policy-making body, and my only comment is, we just can't do it for the sheriff, with all respect,
Yeah.
with all due respect. We should do it for everybody. I think the data over 2-3 years that we have shows that we still have an issue. So do it, and then, you know, we always have the ability at some point to change it if the market changes, or if we see issues. But that's-
Why couldn't we, when it comes to non-competitive jobs, if the department had an opening and you had a person from Greene County and a person from Albany County, and they're both equally qualified, why couldn't he take the Albany County resident? He could
Well,
do
I think that probably would be the prudent thing to do. And listen, I will state as the sheriff, in my shop, my high-level positions are, I'm positive, are gonna be all, you know, in-county people. I mean, that's just how it should be. I mean, listen, we know that you get lost in the weeds sometimes with some of the lower positions in the department and everything else. There's a lot of volume there. But I think as that pyramid, you know, goes up towards the top, towards the sheriff, you know, obviously you should be able to find an undersheriff in Albany County or a chief deputy in Albany County, a superintendent in Albany County. I mean, those are just one position. So, I mean, I know that for my shop, that's how I'm gonna run it is, you know, you want a management job, you better be here, period.
Right.
Yeah, that's the right way to do it.
So we got some language in there leaning towards the residents as opposed to non-resident. I think that'd be fruitful to do it that way. If it's legal, you've got lawyers that are legal.
It's an administrative measure that can easily be taken.
Hey, lawyers.
It's sort of legal.
It's a great idea, might not be legal, but go ahead.
Well, the resident preferred list is in the
Yeah,
civil
I mean, that's the
service,
easiest way to do
yeah.
it.
And the other thing, right now, I believe we got hundreds of jobs that are not filled in the county, they're in the budget, the money's there. Is that the reason these jobs aren't being filled? Mike, maybe against?
Well, again, I think it's a combination of a few things, Chairman. It's a matter of the demographics themselves. There's not physically enough bodies. And then I think that's compounded by the fact that folks have been conditioned to think that you can only be a resident. So, you know, we're just, you know, I think someone here said a tool in the toolbox. We're just trying to set up a system, and the director's been working on a system for a while now, that most effectively attracts qualified individuals. And if we have to do it in a way that, you know, gives a bifurcated way that gives preference to county folks, but then rapidly allows those departments and administrators to quickly move in a dynamic way that doesn't create delays and bureaucracy to getting folks on board. You know, they get within a window that folks need to get a job, then that's what we need to do. And that's kind of the system we're trying to set up.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not on the committee, but if I
Let's
may.
go ahead, by all means, go ahead.
Mr. Kuhn made a statement about, and I'm wondering why we would wait till, I think you said August, this is good.
Well, we don't
to-
have to wait until
Yeah.
August, but that's when it expires.
But I liked what you said about if we were to do away with it now, it certainly gives us time to do a lot of publicity about it.
Yeah.
And so that by the time August comes on to do that shift then, you know, it's already in place and we just roll with it.
What is the mechanism to get rid of this thing?
Moving this out favorably.
But
But
No,
the whole-
not this
It's just
specific.
a
Can we
a
amend it?
request. It can be amended
To the
in the
whole
sense that
county.
the executive can join in writing
Great.
into the request, and we would
Yeah,
just
I
add it
can,
in. Because
after
it's a matter
this,
of
I
writing the
can submit an
resolution.
ROA if needed to supplement the information.
I don't think we, just
What
probably
about a
cover letters
resolution?
fine.
We
What about a
can do it
resolution from our-
ourselves.
Yeah, I think we can amend it.
How about a
We
resolution
can
from our,
rescind the original.
Yeah.
Committee.
Can we send
We
it
would- we would-
individual?
how about a resolution from our committee?
Yeah, I mean, it would be from the committee, as long as it was passed out favorably. And we could just say that it's, I mean, I guess you could do an official motion to amend it.
Yeah, motion.
And couldn't we just do it orally? It's like, it's our
Rescind it?
resolution of this committee to
Yeah, I mean, because
abolish
the resolution will be
residency
whatever
requirement.
we write, and we will write whatever we're directed to do.
So you would write it up on our behalf, and then we would study it and see what else we want to
Well,
follow.
well, see, that's what I'm saying, can we just do it tonight? Can we just do it, instead of pushing off for another month, can we just do a resolution right now that resolved that the Personnel Committee recommends the permanent abolition of the residence, the Albany County residency requirement?
I think a resolution has to be in writing. I think we're all in favor of it,
Yeah.
but I don't think we can do it tonight.
Why don't we do
Well,
this?
no, it
Well,
will
wait a
be.
minute, wait a minute.
This is the thought process, but,
No resolution exists tonight, no resolution exists until we write it in 2 weeks.
yeah.
So, yeah, all that is needed is a favorable recommendation out.
Okay.
Because then we will write the resolution in the manner you have directed.
Okay.
And then we can vote
And it
on
will
it
be
at
voted
the,
on at the
at the
meeting.
Vote at the
large
committee?
meeting?
Yes.
Or the-
All right,
the-
I just want to avoid
General.
coming back here
Right.
in a month.
And if someone wants to move to amend it, the request to include the executive departments as well, we
I
can do that officially.
will
We want
move
everybody.
for the request.
I was just gonna say,
What is
Council,
other
would it be
elected?
executive or separately
All.
elected, separately
All,
elected?
sorry, not just
All.
an executive.
Everything. So that, I will make that
Mhm.
motion, to have it apply to all.
Yeah, I'm in favor.
All departments.
Is that it?
I
I don't
moved,
think
are
we
you
can
seconding?
What about the council, what about legislative
Second.
staff?
All right.
Okay.
Wait a minute. I think for legislative staff, I don't think there's agreement that legislative
Yeah.
staff can be outside the county.
Well,
There's a
they
separate
don't have to be
resolution,
Yep, yep.
and it can be amended or not.
The legislative staff in our,
There's a
in
separate
our August
resolution.
resolution
Yes.
have to live in the county.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
They-
right,
They were
that's right.
exempted.
Mhm.
And that's something we talk to leadership about, but
That makes sense.
I think
But-
staff should live in county. It's different. We have to live.
But you
in
could
Okay,
have that
so,
choice.
That's
Or you
amending
choose civil service.
the prior resolution that waived the requirement for everyone except legislative staff,
Yeah, we're gonna extend it.
keeping the, okay.
We're gonna extend it without
Yep.
sunset.
Cutting your red tape, Mike.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. It's a good discussion. It's been a very good discussion. Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think we're going with basic cover.
Oh, yeah, what do you want to do?
Do we vote on
No, we haven't voted yet. It's still in the motion.
Individual subject to confirmation.
Yeah, you can leave out.
Now the lawyers are really.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Trying to get in there and screw everything up.
Here we go.
Just what we
Get
thought we
the
had.
lawyers, separate the lawyers.
Minutes are Collins walked down.
Well, we did very well.
Is there an attorney in the room?
momentarily.
Everybody stands
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, we can also just submit, we can talk about it further, if you want to move this out favorably, we can talk about it further and do it via individual exchange as well.
That's
So
fine.
that we have exact language
fine.
hammered out, just because there was some concern about
Just give
the
us a
commit,
pass.
in,
Totally understand that, and that actually,
commissioners.
that had been discussed as a carve-out.
Yep.
Because then we could still do it, but for that level of individual, we come to you for a waiver.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move it out favorably, and at our next meeting, the thing will be drafted. We have a special meeting of the.
Before the next meeting, it'll be drafted within the next week. And you will see.
So it's gonna go to the full,
The December.
At the meeting.
the full meeting.
December.
Not, it's not gonna be back to personnel.
Or no,
No.
November.
The November
Right,
meeting.
right. Sorry,
So we'll
wrong.
vote on this in November meeting, that's the plan, all right?
But we have to vote on this to send, are we voting now, Rebecca, on anything?
Yeah, we're
Just
gonna
the
vote to
positive
send the
recommendation.
recommendation. On the recommendation, how many's in favor of the recommendation?
Well, are we just gonna, can we just delete within the sheriff's office and leave it employees of Albany County?
Well, that's what we're gonna do, make it.
Or
all
certain
employees.
Except that we're,
Certain employees
except that
of
we're going
Albany
to exempt out the commissioners, so,
Yeah, that's, I mean, certain.
and the legislative staff, so, yeah, so we'll, it can be moved out as is currently,
Okay,
and then we will do by individual exchange.
okay.
Because we made the oral motion.
Yep.
We still need a vote
Mhm.
on the oral motion.
Mhm.
So you don't call for a vote.
All in favor? of the oral
Aye.
motion? Anybody opposed? It's unanimous.
And then now we need to vote on the actual,
Thank you.
because that was just
Thank
to
you.
amend.
Very helpful.
One more.
So one more vote.
See you, Mike.
One more vote.
That was on the motion to amend, now this is vote on
You
the.
guys should stick around for the exciting conclusion.
Right.
We'll be here.
What, the other motion? So now,
That's
so
it.
you're
Do you want to move on?
move on the other,
Okay.
as amended motion.
All right,
And I second.
okay, all
All
right.
right, so we'll-
All right, so
And
now
all
you
in
got to
favor?
vote.
You gotta cover the vote.
Jesus, give me a chance to say it? You gotta go home, you got a game on tonight or something?
We got another meeting.
How about a vote now? Everybody's just anxious to vote.
Aye.
Anybody, aye, anybody opposed? It's unanimous. How about a motion to adjourn now? Everybody's okay.
All right.